So I think we're not doing our mission. Our mission is the other way around.
Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. Because of our learning, we should have Beis Hamikdash immediately.
Amen.
Today we're going to start Daf Nun Aleph Amud Beis. That's 51b. And we're holding by a Tashma, which is about 10 lines from the bottom, 10, 11 lines from the bottom. So, Misha Kiddush, right? What we've been talking about is Machlekes Abaya and Rava. If there was a betrothal that could never lead to being married. For example, someone married one of two sisters, doesn't specify which one. So he's never going to be able to marry any of them fully. He can't consummate that marriage. He can't marry the sister of his wife. And he doesn't know which one. Rava says that it's not considered a good Kiddushin. And the bias says that it is a good Kiddushin. In other words, the Kiddushin itself, I know this can never lead to marriage, but does the Kiddushin itself require a get, or do we consider it nothing? So we've been bringing proofs. So here goes another one. Tashma, come and listen. Misha Kiddush Achas Mishtei Achayas. Someone gives Kiddushin to one of two sisters, Rachel and Leah. Any day is a Kiddushin, he can't remember which one he married. So, Naisin get Lazu, get Lazu. He has to divorce both of them. Now, he has to divorce both of them because he has to give a get to each one. Maybe this one was married, maybe it's married to this one. So, 1 second. According to Rava, you shouldn't have to do any divorce because this marriage can never be consummated, never finish this marriage. So you really need nothing. No. Originally, the marriage was he knew who he gave it to. It wasn't like there was a shliach or a father. He said, I'm marrying one of your daughters.
That they were identical twins.
Yeah, maybe identical. And then he mixed it up. He didn't know. Was it the one that has the freckle or the one without the freckle? They tell identical twins apart. Okay. I'll prove it to you that this is the case. Money. It was taught, it says he doesn't know now. See, the way that Rava gets out of all of these problems is by saying that originally he did know, and it's only he forgot later. Okay. If that's the case, so then why is this even mentioned? What's the chiddush? Of course, it's a regular marriage, and we thought you were telling me a chiddush that you can make a marriage even when you can make a kedushin even when it can't lead to marriage. But here, if it was a regular kedushin, and to say that a regular kedushin requires a get, it's not really much of a chiddush. My answer safe it's strichalei. No, it is necessary because not of this case, but of what it continues on further on in that brisa. What does it say? It says meis v'loyach. Let's say this person that married one of the two sisters, he died. And he has a brother. Now the brother has to do chalitza. So echad chalitz l'shteyim. He has to do chalitza on both of them. Why? Because we don't know which one he was betrothed to. So you have to do chalitza. Chalitza means that you free her up, that she should be allowed to marry anyone else. Right? The chalitza.
What was like just in case?
Yeah, it could be. And then you vamas. Anyway, what happens here is he has to free them up. See, he can't marry any of them because it would be the one that he needs to do. No, well, let's say he does Yivam on one of them. So that would be, it could be he's marrying the sister of the person that he needs to do chalitza on, which is avoiding the mitzvah of Yivam. Not let it do that marriage first. You have to first do chalitza. Problem is, once you do chalitza, then you can't do the marriage. So if there's only one brother there, there's only one option, chalitza. Let's say there were two brothers. So echad chalitz v'chaniyam, one of them does chalitza on both of the sisters. Then the other one is allowed to come in and do Yibam.
That's cool.
Actually, does the Shnayim need to do? Does he have to do chalitza on both of them? No, he doesn't have to do chalitza to both of them. He has to do chalitza to one of them. There's two brothers. Does chalitza to one of them, and then automatically the other one. If this was the Yavama, so chalitza is taken care of, and you're allowed to marry the sister of Yavama. It's not your brother's wife. Yeah, two brothers are allowed to marry two sisters.
How do we know which one?
How do we know which one it was? So we'll look at it like this. If the first one was the wife, so now she got chalitza and the sister's free. If the first one was not the wife, so the chalitza on her was nothing. It was just a little spit on the floor with the removal of a shoe. It was nothing. Well, she wasn't the wife. She wasn't the. Who is the wife? This one that's right now. So Yibam.
Yeah.
Yibam is allowed. This is one of the brothers. He's doing Yibam on his brother's widow. You follow? It's too complicated.
But no.
I'll use.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
The example, was the marriage ever consummated, or is still like up in the air?
No, it couldn't have been consummated. There's two sisters. These two sisters are married too. One of them is married to this guy. Okay, there's two sisters.
We don't know which one.
We don't know which one of them is. Well, anyway, this guy dies. So now his brother comes along. His brother has to do chalitza to both of them. He doesn't know which one. But then there's two brothers. So then this brother does chalitza to this one. Now, maybe that cleared her up. We don't really know. But if it did, then wonderful. If it didn't, so then this brother does Yibam on this one. Just marries her.
I messed up the second. So this one doesn't get husband.
Well, she can go and find another husband.
Yeah, she's got to find it.
Yeah.
But if this is the real one,
But if that was the real one, then she had chalitza and she's free to go. If she's not the real one, then she never really needed the chalitza and she was free to go even without it.
She should have married really the brother. Oh, but it's a choice. Chalitza or Yibam.
Yeah.
Don't we favor Yibam?
Yeah, but in this case, it was not an option. At least someone has to go first here to take care of the chalitza, because you can't marry the other one, because you have that problem of achais zikukase, the sister of the zika, the sister of the widow should not be married by one of the brothers until the chalitza is performed, because what would happen is that if he marries that sister, then he can't do Yibam on the one that he's supposed to.
He could marry a second time, though.
He can marry if chalitza is done, then after the chalitza he can marry that sister. But that he can only do that. He could only do that. 1 second. Yeah. Just thinking, why can the one brother not marry? I'm just thinking, why could the one brother, let's say there's only one brother, why can't he do chalitza on one and marry the other one? That should work, right? So for that, it says there is a gzeira of achais chalutzasei, but that's only on the one that did chalitza. There's a gzeira, you can't marry achais chalutzasei. It's like marrying the sister of your wife. That you're not supposed to do. So if there's another brother, that other brother can do it. If I'll say everything here is like, it's a lot of factors that are playing in. Yeah. Okay.
We had a similar situation with so the woman could remarry and not have the dowry if she was still engaged.
Right.
So is what you're saying that you can marry through chalitza, you can marry the widow, and then you can't marry your sister?
No, through chalitza?
No.
Oh, so what happens if one individual brother that does chalitza, he cannot marry the sister of the woman that he did chalitza on. However, if there's a second brother, that second brother can marry.
You know why?
Yeah, it looks like you're marrying the sister of your wife. because you did chalitza on her. It looks like you just divorced her, and now you're.
Can you marry them at the same time, or?
No, for sure not. You can't marry two sisters. Yeah. Okay, but if there's another brother, two brothers can marry two sisters. That's allowed. Okay. Im kadma v'kansu. Let's say one of them went first and he did the yibam before the other one did the chalitza. In mitzianes miyadai, you don't make them separate. Why? What happened here? He did yibam. That what he violated was he married a kukasai, which lechatchila you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to marry the sister of the one that you're supposed to do yibam or chalitza, because you're avoiding the actual the potential for that chalitza or yibam. You're avoiding that. But if he jumps ahead and he gets married, that's fine. Okay, now the Gemara explains that what's the chiddush over here? The dafka michlatz v'adiyavumi. The way this is supposed to work is that you're supposed to first do chalitza, one of the brothers, and then afterwards the other brother can do yibam. Aval yibumi v'hada michlatz lai. But if he does the yibam first and then he does want the other brother's going to do chalitza, you shouldn't do that. Why the kapaga b'chayse kukase? Because the first brother that's doing yibam is actually marrying the sister of the one that he's supposed to do yibam on, because it was a doubt. Right. Yeah, so that's the chiddush of this. Why did we get into this complication? Because we wanted to say that someone that marries two sisters needs to divorce them. According to Rava, why does he need to divorce them? It's as well, we're talking about over here because he knew who they were when he first married. He knew which one he was married to and he only forgot later. So what's the chiddush that he needs to divorce them? So the answer is, because of the seifa, we have this whole chiddush over here.
Yes, the divorce is not an invalid marriage, right?
It's not it's a marriage that he can't live with either of them because he doesn't know which one is his wife. Yeah. So Tashima, come and listen. We have with the same case again, just with one more detail that makes it slightly more complex. We'll see that in a moment. Now you have two people, not brothers. It doesn't say brothers. Two people that married two sisters. All right. Two random people. No, not what do you have there? In 86, on the gun of betrothal divorce, whose status is uncertain with the deceased brother. Those rival wives, which are the ritual. Okay, now, that's coming up now. We didn't mention any rival wives now. He wasn't married to two women. He was married to one of the two women. Okay, it's not like you can do chalitza on one of the wives and it frees up the other one. That's true if there's more than one wife, but we weren't discussing that yet. Okay, now, two people married two sisters. Is a kiddush? Is a kiddush? They don't know who they're married to. They each have to give two divorces. About $1,000. I don't know if that's what the Gemara if the Gemara is concerned about that, but they have to right. These are two strangers. They each have to divorce both of those wives. Well, according to Rava, this is a big question because according to Rava, any marriage that can't be consummated is not considered a marriage at all. You shouldn't need to do any get. Yeah, it's a kasha and Rava. So the Gemara answers, talking about where he knew who he married to originally, but then they forgot, they got mixed up. They can I'll prove it to you. The Tani any idea, but like Tani any dua. It says that he doesn't know. It doesn't say that he didn't know. Okay, Shmamina. So the Gemara asks the same question. So what's the chiddush? You don't have to tell me that someone that's married that can't live together needs to get divorced. There's no chiddush in that. Chiddush means there's no novelty. There's no. What's the point? Like, tell me something new. So seifet strichale. It's necessary because there is a chiddush as this goes on. There is something that's teaching us. Meis, it's supposed to be Meisu. They both died. Okay? Both of these people, they're not brothers. These two husbands that married two sisters, probably twins. because they can't figure out who's their wife. These two men died. Lazeh ach ulazeh ach. Wanted to make this into like a real novel. We would say that they killed each other, but we have to add a lot of drama to this.
They just died from uncertainty.
Of uncertainty. They died of uncertainty.
Broken hearts.
Right.
Or that could be that they never met. It was
Could be. Could be that they never met. How would that work? That's someone that they sent shliach, maybe. So they both died. Lazeh ach, lazeh ach. And they each have a brother. So you already know what's supposed to happen. Each brother is going to have to do chalitza to both of them. Right? These are separate men. These are not brothers. They each have their own brother. Right? So each of those brothers has to fulfill the responsibility of Yibam or Chalitza. They have to do Chalitza on both because they don't know who was the wife. Okay. Okay, let's go further. Each of these men, man A and man B, one man A has one brother and man B has two brothers.
Oldest one first. Responsibility.
Yeah, but right now, okay. So what happens now is the Mr. A that died, he has to do his brother, his single brother needs to do chalitza on both of the women. But Mr. B that has two brothers, so one of them can do chalitza, another one can do yibum, as we said in the last case.
Right.
That once you do chalitza, then that takes care of the other sister and you can do yibum because either chalitza was done correctly and that frees up the sister, or chalitza wasn't done correctly and this is a case of yibum. In kadmu b'kansu, if Mr. B's brother B marries before the chalitza is performed, then we don't separate them. Well, 1 second. This is only if the chalitza was done. You're supposed to do chalitza first and then you do yibum. Now here what we're talking about is we needed the brother A, his brothers, Mr. A's brothers, brother A, has to do chalitza before brother B's brother can come along and do it. Now we're taking it one step further. In the last case, it was the two brothers of the same person. The first one does chalitza, the second one does yibum. Now we're talking about that the other husband that was married to the other one, he has to do a chalitza first before the yibum could be performed by the second brother of the other husband. Why? But to do yibum by Mr. A's brother, Mr. B's brother, who does yibum, and then Mr. A's brother is going to come in and do chalitza like the kapaga b'yivama b'shuk. Why? Because it could be that she's getting married to an outsider before the yibam or chalitza is performed by her brother-in-law. You follow that? Got it? Okay.
If she's meeting a stranger.
She's marrying a stranger. Basically, the other husband's brother needs to do chalitza before this one can do a yibam. Otherwise, there's a rule that you can't marry anyone else besides for the brother-in-law until chalitza is performed. I don't have any child.
We all went through Yavamos. We don't need to.
Maybe everyone didn't go through it. Maybe not everyone remembers.
Everybody remembers.
I made a chart. I made a chart in my Gemara. I don't know if I can show it to you.
We need menchies. So is she marrying somebody else while she's still a Zika?
So if Mr. B would do Yibam first, then she would be marrying outside. Possibly. if her real husband was Mr. A. That's why Mr. A's brother needs to do chalitza before Mr. B's second brother can do yibum.
But if that doesn't occur, if she rushes to marry somebody new, is she marrying while she's a Zika? Is that a marriage?
It's a negative prohibition.
So it's a
You can't
negative.
marry it's called Yavama Lashuk. Leisia Eishes Hames Leishzar. It's a negative prohibition.
So,
It's into machlokes if that's a marriage. Rabbi Akiva and the others.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask. That was marriage would be effective.
Okay, Tashima, come and listen. Titani Tivyaimi taught. Not so familiar with him. It says, there's one person that has 5 sons, another fellow has 5 daughters. Sounds perfect, right? He says, he says, one of your daughters should be married to one of my sons. I thought that this would have gone, all of your daughters should be married to all of my sons. But he didn't do that. He just said one of your daughters should be married to one of my sons. Okay. Well, each one of those daughters needs to get a divorce because he didn't specify which one. Who's going to divorce them? All 5 of the brothers. He didn't specify which brother. So they each have to go, and that's $2,500 in that family. Yeah, they can all do it in one day. They're all separate people, right? Yeah. Say if you're the wife, then I'm divorcing. No, right? Well, Mace echad me'am, if one of them dies, then kol achas v'achas tzrich arba gitin v'chalitza me'echad me'am. Then since they're all brothers, you only need one chalitza. They need 4 gitin and 1 chalitza. No, 4 gitin, and they all need chalitza from one of them. One of them is going to do a chalitza on all of them, right? Each of them need to get chalitza. And one that does chalitza doesn't need to give a get. Right.
Yeah, because they all would have been required.
No, he doesn't need to give a get.
One
Yeah, I
of
was just
them-
He
saying,
doesn't need to
because
give a get.
otherwise his.
He doesn't need to give a get. No, 1 second. There were 5 brothers here. One's dead. Okay. So now you have to do chalitza on all of them because could be you're the brother of the chalitza on all of them, but only one of the brothers needs to do that chalitza. Yeah. But they all need to get a get. No, not the others. He also needs to give a get. Because what about all the one that he was married to? Besides for his brother being married to one of these 5 women, he was also possibly married to one of these 5. So the 4 remaining brothers needs to do gittin, and one of the brothers needs to do chalitza. This is a kasha on Rava, because what's the question on Rava? Because according to Rava, you don't need to do anything here because it's a Kiddushin Shleinim Sur Labiyah, the marriage that can't be consummated. That she should be. They don't need anything. It's not a marriage at all. If you're going to say maybe you want to say that they knew originally who was married to who. They just all forgot. It says 1 second. It doesn't say that. It says one of your daughters to one of my sons. It says clearly that he's not specifying. They never knew. When it says tiyufta de Rava, tiyufta, this is a very strong question on Rava. And Behilchas Kavasei da Abaya Bial Kagam, and Allah is like Abaya by those 6 cases of Yal Kagam.
Now, when you is it takala halacha? They say that, but when it comes down to the actual she was having the whole share last night.
The Yalkagam is not,
And those are actually in Shulchan Aruch.
I believe
And
so.
apparently the Rebbe was
So what are the Yalkagam?
Yay, Shlomi, it's all in Tosfos.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at
Yeah,
the,
I'm looking at
Rashi says the Yalkagam, I'm just looking at, Taisva says about a story that happened.
I looked smarter then.
Okay,
I know he's right.
right. There is a machlekes Rashi and Tosfos. What is the Yalkagam? Rashi says it's Yesh Lemidas, Eid Zaymil Lemafreya, Lechi Yamin Me'elav, Kiddushin Shleinim Serbia is the case that we just had. Gilei Daita Begitin and Mumarich Nevelis. That's Rashi's. Tosfos switches the Lamed, which we said Lechi Yamin, which was in Erevin. Tosfos switches it for Yemei Leda, which we had in Nida.
Look at what's Tosfos saying. Let's maybe that's
Which Tosfos are you looking at?
the Yalkagam at the bottom there. Sfarm lo kosav il chosav.
Shmaita aval kosav bahag, chen kosav v'gam kosav b'sfarm gam b'hamafkid ma'ases chaver above the tree for the urban. Nil first kachlei nechva b'chlala the Yalkagam lachach nifsik hachel kosav karabanan savarai.
So apparently, my father said when he was in Providence, and when they learned something again, I got the message right. And he says, you say it's halacha, then you go against it, like what's going on, and he said, don't ask hard questions. Then when he was learning some sikhs or whatever or something, and the Rebbe had a reference to that. So the Rebbe said, that's why? Because shtika is higher, something else. Because Abai and Rabba, because there was a, I don't know.
It's something from the Rebleivik on Abai and Rabba.
Maybe that's what it was.
Rebleivik's Torah on Abai and Rabba is that Abaya accepts things that are beyond comprehension. Yesh Lemidas.
There you go.
Abaya says is Leihabi Yesh.
Almost there.
Right? Yesh Lemidas. It's Leihabi Yesh. But here, Kiddushin Shleinim Srulabiyah. All these things that are like that don't actually play out. They didn't play out yet. So Abaya has an opinion about that. But the Rebleivik's Torah has to do with it. That Abaya is the higher level of godliness, and Rav is the lower level. Both of them are makif, surrounding light of Hashem. And we don't paskin like Abaya because it's too high, except for the 6 places. He says that when Rabbah was teaching, so Rabbah asked his students, Abaya and Rava, where is God? So Rava pointed up, and Abaya went outside and pointed up. So Abaya is associated with the higher level of. That's why he went outside. Then he says that there's 2 letters in the alphabet that are full circle. There's Samach and the Mem. The Gemara says that both of them are makif. The Gemara says that Abaya lived for 60 years and Rava lived for 40 years, according to one version. That would mean that Abaya is the Samach. Samach is the higher level of the makif, because it's even round on the bottom. And the Mem is the lower. Mem is the Gematria 40, and Samach is the Gematria 60. Anyway. And then he says Yalkagam has to do with Kagam is Gershon Kassim Merari, and it's the Aliyah of this. Anyway,
wow.
Okay, Ma'aseh b'chamish nashim. There's a story of 5 women. Amar Rav. This is in our Mishnah. Mishnah said that there was a guy that he went over to these to the field that belonged to these 5 women. He took some of a basket of figs, and he gave it to them. And he says he's marrying. What did he say? He's marrying one of them or all of them?
All of them, and
He's marrying one of them, and there were 2 sisters there. And the sages said that the sisters aren't married, but the other ones are. The strangers are the ones that weren't. Okay, well, Amar Rav. Rav says, there's 4 things that you could learn from this, from our Mishnah. Class, but I'm accepting only 3 of them. In other words, that's the one that we're going to review. There's the three of the halachas that we can learn. What are the halachas that you can learn from this story? First of all, that you can use the fruits of Shemitah. This was the Shemitah year when he took the fruits. Now, it's possible to think that it says the Shemitah fruits is only for eating. It's not for business. And here he's doing some sort of trading. He's marrying a woman with this, or 5 women. Or I could think that maybe it's not his money because it belongs to Hashem. The answer is that no, you could use the fruits of Shemitah to make a wedding, for Kiddushin. Shema Mina, the second thing you learn is that you can't use stolen money in the marriage to make a marriage. Even if you stole it from her and you're returning it, that also doesn't work. Mimai, how do we see that from the Mishnah? The fact that we said that this field or these figs that they took were theirs, but it was Shemitah. So Shemitah means that it's Hefker. Time of the Shvius, the Hefker. The reason why it worked was because it was Hefker, it was ownerless. But if it would have been any other of the other 6 other years, then it wouldn't have been married. Okay, rule number 2 is that you can't use stolen money in a marriage. Shema Mina, the third thing that we learned from this, so if a
person used and was found out after, you just super no get.
It's a problem. We'll see. We'll see coming up. The next thing is that a woman could be a shliach to receive Kiddushin money even when she's getting married as well, and she's going to be a rival wife. Now, we said in other cases that the rival wife is entrusted for this, that, and other thing, but turns out that if she's just a shliach to receive the Kiddushin money, that does work. Well, what's the 4th thing that you don't want to talk about? That Rav doesn't want to include. Rav says Kiddushin Shein Masur L'Biyah. This halacha about Kiddushin, a marriage that can never be consummated, that Rava doesn't want to put in this. Now, why not? Why doesn't he put it in? Because he has a doubt if he goes like Abaye or Rav. Now, Rav doesn't really have a doubt about that. He has a doubt if the Mishnah is headed in Abaye's direction or in Rav's direction, because we had 2 ways of resolving the Mishnah. Yesterday we learned, did we say that it was talking about Haruya Labiyah Tiskadishli? That was like one, or that was, who was that, Abaye's approach? Or was it Rava's approach? Hamakadesh Achasmea, one of the sisters. The Achas Mishtei Achayes, right? We had 2 ways of reading the Mishnah, and so Rav doesn't know which way to read it, so he doesn't want to put it in there as a teaching from the Mishnah. Kisalak Reb Zera. When Reb Zera went to Eretz Yisrael, remember Reb Zera went to Eretz Yisrael? Well, I'm not sure. He went to Eretz Yisrael, and he fasted. Remember, to forget all his learning of Bavel, he wanted to confuse him. So Amala Shmaita Kamid Rabbi Yechanan. So there's a problem. How does he, if he fasted, how does he say this teaching of Rav in front of? He forgot all his learning. So let's accept the other girsa that he fasted in order not to forget his learning. There's another girsa there. That would help. You follow, Dr. Stein? You hear the question? How does he? If
they switch?
Unless we say the fasting didn't work. Okay. He comes to Rabbi Yechanan. Amar Le, Rabbi Yechanan tells him, Rav Hachi, Rav really said this. The Gemara asks, V'hu lo yamar, and Rabbi Yechanan himself doesn't say it. V'amar Rabbi Yechanan says the same thing. someone steals, but the owners didn't give up hope. Both the original owner, the rightful owner, and the thief cannot consecrate this property. The one that stole it is not his. And the one that's the real owner can't consecrate it because it's not in his possession. It's not under his hands. We see the same thing. We're seeing that if you take stolen money, that you can't use it. It's not yours. So Rabbi Yochanan says the same thing.
What if you give it to the shul?
We're saying you can't give it to the shul.
You can transform it, can't you?
You can't give it to the shul. It's not yours.
Sorry, oops.
Yeah,
What-
okay.
What if
Retract.
they don't know whose it is?
Okay, now that's a technical question. I'm saying in concept, it's not his.
Well, the one that doesn't have it in his possession doesn't really care about finding it. Right?
One that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So if it's not in his possession, he's not able to consecrate it. In order to consecrate it, needs to be in hand's reach, or like something that you have access to.
It just says here that the owner has not despaired.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he hasn't
because
despaired.
it's not
If he would have
yours.
despaired, then the
can take
thief would have acquired it. By his despairing, the thief acquires it. It says, I'm gonna have to go buy another one.
We spoke about this earlier. Parker mentioned about like $20 that he went to the beach and like he gave it like lost.
That's huge.
Oh yeah, it was yeah.
So
And he did find it?
he was snorkeling for money and he found $20 and said, "Can I have this $20? I just found in the ocean." I said, "Whoever loses $20 in the
Oh,
ocean
yeah.
is miyash. It's yours." And then when I
It
went
was,
to go
it
buy
was his
him,
money.
treats, I
He
realized that
went
was
to the
the
back
No.
pocket.
It's the
Did
Okay, the Gemara says Hachi Karmelite. What Rabbi Yochanan meant to say is Miyam Rab Kavasi. Did Rab really say like me? As Rabbi Yochanan was happy if Rab would agree with him. He respected
very good.
Rab. Yeah, you have that Gemara in Chulin where Rish Lakish says, "Who's this Rab that you keep mentioning?" And Rabbi Yochanan says, "What do you mean by Rebbe? He was such a great Talmud. He was okay." Meisvei. Gemara's a question. Kitsha begezel. Someone marries a woman with stolen items. Bechamas. It's another type of stealing. Begneva or gezel is robbery. Gneva is theft. Or he grabbed it out of her hand, the kitcha, and he gave it back to her. He says, "I'm going to marry you with this." He rips off her ring, and then he hands it back. He says, "Okay, now you're married." Now this could actually happen because when people are in a rush to get married, the guy doesn't have a ring on him. Who has the ring? She has the ring from some other thing, and not a wedding ring, but it's a ring. And he says, "Who has a ring?" He takes her ring and hands it back. So the Gemara says like this. So the question is that we see that it is a good marriage, even though he stole. The Gemara says Hassan begezel dida. Over there was stealing from her. Now the Gemara is going to ask soon. We said stealing from her is also a problem. Stole from her and gave it back. The Gemara is going to assume that stealing from her and giving it back is also not acceptable. But Hamidik Tani Seifa, when the Gemara has another question, the fact that it says in the end, your last case was where he took it from her and gave it back to her. That means the first cases were something else. It said it was stolen, was not stolen from her because the last case was from her. It must have been something else. The Gemara says no, Prusha Kamafarish. The last case is explaining the first cases. And how does it work? It goes like this. If he marries her with robbery, other type of chamas is like forcing the person to sell it. So begneva,
Like extortion.
And gneva is theft. Ketzad, what would be a case of that? And now we give the case where he pulls it off her hand and gives it back to her. In Shchat of Selam, he pulls a coin out of her hand of a kitchabai and he marries her. Gemara says, this is the question we've been waiting for, but the Mishnah says it doesn't work like this either. Gemara says, it depends. Were they talking before about getting married, and then she would have agreed with the fact that it was ripped out of her hands and returned to her that she was accepting the marriage? Or they weren't talking about it before. He just runs over to her, and he doesn't know this guy from Adam.
It's okay.
By the chuppah, it could be it
Because
is.
they've been talking about.
Yeah.
According to this.
Yeah, even if it's stolen.
I mean, not stolen. He says, who has, and he takes it and gives it back. Because they're talking about it.
Right.
Maybe like the
Yeah.
Yeah. When the shaila comes up, make sure to ask her up. When they can't find the ring at the wedding, and the only one that has another ring is the kala. She probably doesn't not wearing a ring at the chuppah.
Isn't the Gemara going to support the opinion that could lead to children
Right.
before pretty much even overcome other?
Right. We said that a marriage that doesn't lead. No, actually, no. We said a marriage that doesn't lead is still considered a marriage, and they need to get divorced. That's what we said before. Over here, we're talking about where he stole money and gave it to her, or stole money from her, and they were talking before about marriage that it would be acceptable.
I understand that, but isn't the Gemara in general going to overlook things in order that the situation to ensure or to give permission for a situation that could end in children?
Yes and no. Not, it depends. Not necessarily. Right? Otherwise, you would say, look, the mitzvah to have children is very important. So you should just go have children with whoever, so we don't say that, right? Okay, there was a woman, she was washing her leg in a pail of water. Okay, I have no clue why that's significant here. But also who Gavra, the man comes along and he grabs a coin from his friend. I guess two men were walking by. One had some money on him. He throws it to her. So Amallah, he says to her, Mikdashesli, be married to me.
Well, the significance was that it was like a not sneezed.
I was
attracted to her leg.
He sees her bare leg.
But that's
Okay. Okay, usually. Fine. Also Gavra.
Dirty toes.
Also Gavra. This man comes, that man that married her comes into Rava. Rava says, we don't hold of Reb Shimon. You stole the coin from your friend. Reb Shimon would accept and say that that robbery, the owner gives up hope. Why by robbery does the owner give up hope? Because you know who the person that took it, and you couldn't get it back. You see, robbery is different than theft. Robbery is the person pulls it out of your hands and runs, and you see the guy.
Spent it already or not?
You see who it is, and he doesn't have any fear of you, and basically he's stronger than you. You're not getting it back, so you give up. You say, hey, whatever, I'll have to get another one. But theft could be different. Theft, when you catch the guy, you say, I'm going to catch that guy. I'm going to get it back. You still think. So that's Reb Shimon's view. Reb Shimon's view is that robbery you give up right away, and theft you don't give up right away. So, but nevertheless, Rava says that we don't hold of Reb Shimon either, and that a person gives up by robbery. We hold that a person doesn't give up by robbery, that he's going to go to the police and he's going to, even though the guy's stronger than him, but he's going to get it back. So therefore, it's not considered a good marriage here because he stole the coin from his friend when he threw it at this washing leg girl. Who Arisa? There was a sharecropper, and this is a person that works in a field that takes some of the produce for himself and leaves the rest for the owner. It's not his field, but he does all the work, and they split some of the produce proceeds. Arisa the Kaddish b'musa the shamchi. He took a fistful of onions, gave it to a woman to marry her. He wants to marry her. Asalakame de Rava comes to Rava to see if it's a good marriage. Amalei, Rava says, Man achlach. Look, you didn't arrange this with the owner, which onions are yours, which are not. You basically stole from the owner before you did this division. When you get your portion, you could do that, but you didn't do that yet. So you basically just stole, and it's not good. It's not a good marriage. Rani Mili Bemuza, but that was because he took a fistful. Aval Kisha, but if he takes a bundle, which is like they would sell probably, in a certain amount. Then he could tell the master, he could tell the owner, he could say, look, I took a bundle, you take a bundle. He could, I'm keeping calculation here. When he takes a fistful, he doesn't have any calculation of that. Kisha kikisha would see like a bundle is the same as as another bundle, right? Okay, Sarsia. There was a brewer, makes beer out of dates. The Kaddish Bepruma de Shechra. He marries a woman with either a flask, according to one view, or it was the dates that were already soaked. And once they're soaked in the thing, they lose all of their flavor. So anyway, Asamari de Shechra Ashkeche, the owner of the wine of the beer, sees what he did. Amarle, he says to him, why didn't you give her from the good ones, the fresh ones that you can still use? Asal Kamidiravi comes to Rava. Rava says, there is a concept where the master says you should have taken the better ones. Right. We say that, that's an element. We say that by Truma. That if someone sends a messenger to take, if not, he sends a messenger. If someone takes Truma on behalf of someone else, and then the other person comes, he's supposed to be a shliach, but the master comes and says, you should have taken the better ones, then we say that is acceptable. Why? Because we know that he had to take Truma anyway. So the better ones is not like, he's not being sarcastic with him. The Tanya was taught in a brayso. When do we say that if someone takes truma for someone else, that is considered truma? Someone goes into his friend's field and he collects over there and then he takes truma. If we suspect that maybe it's stolen, that the master doesn't agree to this, then ain't truma truma. But if we think that it's acceptable, then truma truma is good. How do you know if the master is accepting this? If the master comes and he finds the guy separating the truma, should have gone to the better ones. If there really are better ones than truma, then we see that he's not being sarcastic, and that's what he meant. But if there is nothing better, and he says you should have taken better ones, and that's just like black, not dark humor. Mm-hmm. So ain't truma.
Dark humor in that.
He's saying that the person was saying that you should have taken better, and really there's nothing better, right? He says, why don't you take that? That's a sarcasm. So then it's not accepted. It's not considered truma. Hayu habaylim malakdim. If the owners themselves were collecting a maisifim and adding onto the pile that the first person did, so benkach truma. Right. Aval hacha, Rava concludes, but over here, mishum kisufu david veinu mekudeshes. The reason why he said you should have taken better ones is because of embarrassment. He doesn't really retroactively, back then, really accept what the person did, that he took some of his dates and gave it. Now, there's another pshat over here, mishum kisufu david. He was trying to embarrass him, which that's also not so nice. The original pshat was that Mishum Kisufa, he's only saying now that it's okay what you did because he doesn't want to look stingy. But originally he really didn't want that. Okay, there's two approaches to this. Right, avoid embarrassment is a good shot.
Right. He says that this is in order to embarrass one who took the item by sarcastic.
The Miri has another shot. Right, very good. Very good. Should we stop here? What time do you
Starts in 3 minutes.
Okay, so let's discuss what's going to be tomorrow. We're up. But tonight they're up all night. Shanarama. So basically, there's two options. There's three options. One is 5:30 a.m. It's a very difficult option because we're not going to get to bed till about 2:30.
That's standard.
That's standard, right?
Yeah, that's not.
Other option is we can learn at 9 tomorrow, and then there's a 10 o'clock minyan. Or we can learn tonight, maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Why don't we do it tonight?
8:30 tonight?
What time is Mara?
Probably like 7:30.
Why don't you do it right after Mara?
It's hard
Yeah.
because of the kids. You want to do it after
Oh.
Maya?
Or, I mean, if everyone's coming back, let's just do it at, I don't know, 10:30, 11.
Want to do it an hour before
Whatever, I
before
mean,
Tillim? Tillim, I think is
yeah.
1:10. So you
Let's
want to
do it
learn?
Can
Yeah.
you Zoom it no matter
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, can Zoom it.
Because I don't know
You
if
want to
I'm
do it
gonna-
12:10?
Not up at that late? What time do you go to sleep?
Yeah.
Well, what time do you go to sleep? I'm not.
Let's-
I'm not.
I
maybe we'll do it
sleep
12 o'clock.
between
You
9
say
and
that?
10.
Oh, nice.
Want to do
I
12?
can't stay up. I couldn't
Okay,
sleep. I finally
so
got
the easiest for
surgery.
everyone is 7:30? After Mara? We'll learn for an hour after Mara.
Is that all right with you?
Okay.
Or would this
I'll
affect
play that.
you?
After Mara, over here, we'll learn.
Okay,
Well,
Shalom
then.
will come back at 7.
Question.
Yeah, do you understand? Hello?
Yeah, how are you? Yes, sir. Oh, one second. We're recording.
7:30 is, that's